Alright guys, the time has come.
Here we go, high, high, high.
Every November for the last couple of years, after the Grammys announced their shortlist for the best metal performance of the year, I release a video in which we collectively bash the Grammys and talk about how the Grammy nomination committee is completely out of touch and have no idea what metal actually is.
They wouldn't know rock and roll if it hit them in the face. They need to stop taking Prozac and start drinking fucking beer.
But in all seriousness, this year everything is different. So first of all, let's take a look at the shortlist for the best metal performance of the 2025 Grammy Awards. Discuss a really weird pattern about it, which is going on for a couple of years now, and then make an educated guess about who will actually win this year's Grammy versus who deserves to win it the most. Here you go. First of all, I have to point out, as always, that, of course, none of us metalheads actually care about the Grammy Awards. We will listen to our favorite bands no matter what, whether they will take those Grammys home or they won't ever even be nominated for it. We really don't care about it. But at the same time, this is arguably one of the biggest events in the mainstream music world, and one of the only ones which actually reflects metal in one way or another. So yeah, we kind of do have to take it into consideration, especially since, as I always say, this might be a gateway for some of the, younger kids into the wonderful world of metal, which they are about to explore after checking the songs out. But anyways, in addition to that, I have to say that this year's shortlist for the best metal performance is not even half bad. Yet at the same time, this doesn't make it less weird. So let's take a look at it. Yeah, I have a couple of questions about those. Well, in case you lived under the rock, Gojira's Mea Culpa Asera was the song the band has performed during an opening ceremony for this year's Olympic Games. And it was mind-blowing. No, seriously, as I said in the original review video for that performance, this was simply a great day for metal, and Gojira were the ones who took the golden medal, and not only for themselves, but for metal overall. And we all know from the comments online that this performance alone has done a huge job at popularizing metal pretty much all across the globe. And in addition to that, it is a 100% new track. Well, a couple of 100 years old new track, but still, it's a new track for Gojira, and therefore I don't think that anyone would have any objections about it being among the best 5 metal songs of this year. So yeah, kudos to Gojira. Well, talking about Judas Priest, I think everyone who is not new to the channel knows about how much I love this band. And yes, for me, Invincible Shield is probably the metal album of 2024 overall. So yeah, I have no objections about including any of the songs from this record on the best metal performance list. And in all honesty, I'm not even surprised that it was Crown of Thorns that got nominated for the best metal performance, as although I can't really call it the strongest song on Invincible Shield, it definitely is the most acceptable for the mainstream audience's one. So yeah, well, if you ask me, I would have included either Panic Attack or the title track from this record to be nominated for the best metal performance. Given my lifelong love for metal gods, I am 100% sure that none of us would have any objections about Judas Priest, about a song from Invincible Shield being nominated for the best metal performance this year. When it comes to the song Suffocate by Not Loose featuring Poppy, I gotta be honest with you, it's not really my kind of metal. But at the same time, I have to give it to it. This song hits hard, and with more than 4 million views on YouTube alone, is undoubtedly one of the top metal tracks of 2024 overall. And although, in all seriousness, this to me, Not Loose and this song in particular is not really 100% metal. I would really go for hard rock punk here. I think that given the whole fact that, everything is being jammed into this label of metal, which I don't really have anything against, especially when it comes to mainstream events like the Grammys. In all seriousness, it makes absolute sense that this track gets included into this year's nomination shortlist. But then we come to the last 2 tracks on the shortlist. And this is where it becomes more interested.
Keep me inside. My name is suicide.
Now, first of all, don't get me wrong. I am a huge Metallica fan. I love this band to death. But at the same time, I, in all honesty, have no understanding whatsoever about how Screaming Suicide gets nominated for the 2025 Grammys. As if you read the official statement, in order to be nominated for the 2025 Grammy Awards, applicable songs and albums need to have been released in the United States between September 16th, 2023 and August 30th, 2024. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Screaming Suicide did get released sometime in April last year. And even more, Metallica has actually already taken a Grammy Award for that same album and the track 72 Seasons from it last year. So despite the whole fact that I simply love this band, the whole idea that Metallica gets nominated second year in a row for the same material they released a year before, once again just kind of undermines the whole idea of Grammys and once again adds to the whole criticism of Metallica taking Grammys whenever they get nominated, which has been going on for quite a while now. And the same thing goes for Spiritbox, which once again has been nominated for the same material last year and is simply getting on this list on a technicality because the Cellar Door song has been released slightly later than the rest of the EP, which, I don't know, to me it just is utter nonsense. And especially given the fact that this year there were so many incredible metal songs which were released in 2024 and which definitely do deserve getting their spotlight and be nominated for the best metal performance alongside Gojira, Crown of Thorns, and I'll give it Knocked Loose as well. But yeah, this is just my weird thing about it. But let me know what you guys think about it.
Go on! Tell them what you think!
So now, who will take this year's Grammy Awards home when it comes to metal? Well, here where it becomes a little bit tricky, because in my personal opinion, only two of these nominations actually deserve to be considered for the prize. And these are Gojira and Judas Priest. Well, first of all, Judas Priest, of course, because of the whole fact that the album they have released is simply mind-blowing. And the whole idea that they released it at the 54th year of their existence makes it even more extraordinary, at least in my opinion. And I do understand that I can be prejudiced because Judas Priest is one of my very favorite bands on earth and has always been and will always be such. But even if we do not take this into consideration, I actually think that Crown of Thorns is one of the best metal songs of 2024 and therefore definitely deserves to be rewarded with a Grammy this year. But at the same time, Gojira's performance at the opening ceremony of this year's Olympic Games was so iconic and so mind-blowing that it was jaw-dropping, at least to me. And the thing is that I've seen Gojira when they were a rather small band. I don't remember how many years it was ago. 15, 17 years ago, or something like this, when they were opening for In Flames, I think. And even then, I was surprised at how intense they were. But at the same time, seeing the growth of this band over the last 15 years or so has been one of the most joyous experience for me as a metalhead. And if we take in consideration not the legacy of the band and not the legacy of the long play that the band has released this year, Gojira's performance at the opening ceremony of this year's Olympic Games is simply unmatched. And I don't think that it will be matched by anyone in the coming years unless someone will finally get to play the Super Bowl halftime show next year or so. So yeah, as a Judas Priest fan, as a Metallica fan, I would definitely not get disappointed if Gojira would take the Grammy Awards home this year. But in all seriousness, if either Spiritbox or Metallica gets to win this year, I'll freaking lose it. Because in my opinion, this would be so freaking unfair and this would underline everything that is wrong with such mainstream awards as the Grammy Awards is. And especially in a year which has given us so many incredible metal albums, which, as always, have stayed completely under the radar of pretty much all mainstream institutions. But anyways, here's my short, or not short, I'm not even sure, rant about this year's Grammys, which is quite different, as I promised about the last year's one and the one a year before that. But let me know what you guys personally think about this year's Grammy nominations, and who do you think deserves to win this year the most? I'm actually really curious to find out. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys, and we will prevail. Slava Ukraini!